I remember the first time I got a glimpse of Assassin's Creed and how excited I was that day. And because my excitement wasn't that game, yeah, sure, the game looked okay, but there was something about it that rubbed me the wrong way. I can't quite put a firm grip on exactly why, but to be sure, seeing Altair freefall 50 feet onto a bale of hay and walk away unharmed had something to do with it. No, what excited me was the angelic goddess introducing the game. Way too pretty to be gaming or have anything to do with gaming. Way out of my league, but there she was, with a hint of cleavage above a tight pink sweater, like a Vienna sausage's tight skin splitting open, simmered under white wine, beckoning me. Her name is Jade Raymond, the producer of Ask Crease, and I was in love. In fact, I was in love with her 5 times a day until the day of the game's release. I had no interest in the game, I didn't care to play it, but I bought it. I bought it for her. On the remotest chance that somewhere up in Canada, she gets a report that this geek with a meek physique has bought the game, and she flies thousands of miles and comes knocking on my door and gives me a handjob as a show of appreciation for having bought the game. That didn't happen. What did happen was me playing the game for about an hour and snapping the DVD in half in a fit of sexually frustrated rage. The game is ass. Besides the fascination of watching Altair stick to walls, there is nothing about the game that I remotely enjoyed. So I was determined to hate Ask Crease 2 as well, and what I had seen and heard of the game weren't exactly warming my joystick. What turned me off most was seeing a clip in which this French-Canadian bearded funny little man, and funny because French accents are just funny, was talking about and showing a footage of an assassin poisoning a guy's bodyguard, and the bodyguard getting tipsy like a Japanese businessman after hours on the subway, and swinging his axe wildly about, because that's what you do when you get poisoned. You swing your dangerous weapon about, hoping to take someone out with you, so you won't be by your lonesome self in hell. And proceeding to accidentally kill the guy he's supposed to be guarding. I mean, that's just about the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, and I knew then that I would never buy this game. And I didn't. But I did get a free copy of the game as it came with my new CPU I bought, and at the suggestion of my one and only subscriber, I decided to try it out and quite possibly review the game. I'm ashamed to admit, I'm glad I did. I kind of like it. Now, that's not to say that I can forgive Ubisoft for the poison regards of it, he gets tipsy and swings his axe wildly about and kills your target for you gameplay. And it's not because Ask Crease 2 is the only game that does this kind of shit. No, plenty of games have featured something that's almost as asinine as this. Regenerating health and med packs that heal gaping bullet wounds? Check. Characters that don't seem to mind answering questions that you've asked already 100 times? Check. Fences that you can't jump over and invisible borders you can't cross? Double check. But what infuriates me about Ask Crease 2's particular asinine gameplay is that Ubisoft touts this as something clever, as innovative. Look at what you can do in this game. You can punch this random guy who stumbles backwards onto a waitress, inadvertently grabbing her boobs, who then screams in horror, which then startles an old lady nearby and causes her pacemaker to go haywire, which then short-circuits a nearby cell phone, causing it to dial a secret number that activates all the nukes in America and sends them flying at Kim Jong-il, who at the time is watching Demi Moore in striptease, and upon hearing that all the nukes are headed his way, starts to run around hysterically and accidentally smacks his face against his 100-inch TV screen just as Demi's boobies are prominently displayed, causing the real-life Demi to flinch her boobie muscles involuntarily as she's giving Ashton Kutcher a titty job, causing her 2 rock-hard silicones to squeeze together like Stone Cold Steve Austin's fist to her can, crushing Ashton's penis, causing instant death, cause what is he without his penis, who just happens to be your next target for assassination. Ta-da! And dumbasses all over the world go, ooh. And that annoys me. The whole game, in fact, annoys the hell out of me. Take the writing as an example. It's total ass. I mean, it's something you'd expect from Michael Bay. On a day he's feeling extra cheesy. In a year when the Hollywood sign atop Mount Lee breaks free and starts eating alive the likes of Wong Gao-wei, Alexander Payne, and Tilda Swinton, and everyone who's anyone worth a lick until not a single creative brain cell remains in the industry. Ask Crease 2 is Hollywood cheese fest. It's what Michael Bay would write when animal crackers prancing about on Liv Tyler's stomach just won't do. It's what you see on The Rock, in which Sean Connery pulls off a ridiculously elaborate escape on Nick Cage just so that he can go see his estranged daughter and patch things up with her. It's that kind of outlandish Hollywood writing that annoys the hell out of me, and it's way too prevalent in Ascrease 2. In fact, everything gets so convoluted and unnecessarily complex that by the third hour, I completely lost track of all the characters and who they were and their relation to my character, or even what my overall goal is in this Hollywood farce. I just didn't care anymore. The plot is something about an Italian playboy who's forced to grow up because his family's slaughtered, which results in him going on a murdering rampage of his own, until he meets the love of his life, Leonardo DiCaprio, with whom he has multiple babies through surrogate hooker moms, because Leonardo DiCaprio was the inventor of artificial insemination, didn't you know? That's another thing that annoys me about Ascrease 2, the jokes. Okay, the Mario joke is pretty funny, but the rest of the jokes basically consist of taking a now well-known fact about something and showing just how ignorant and backwards people used to be. The Earth revolves around the Sun, Leo says, but someone corrects him. You mean the Sun around the Earth? Ha ha ha. Humans flying? It's stupid and it's ass. And there are plenty of other annoyances in the game. The combat was something I absolutely hated in Ascrease 1, and it hasn't changed all that much in Ascrease 2. I understand that convincingly showing a guy going up against multiple enemies by himself is not easy. Usually you end up with one of two things in movies. Either the protagonist is seen shooting his gun in multiple directions in one scene, which is followed by scenes of multiple enemies going down as a result, a la Commando, or the protagonist fights off one guy at a time while everyone else just stands around watching. Ascrease 1 opted for option number 2, and it made for some ridiculous to watch and not that fun to play fighting. It's a shame that Ascrease 2 decided not to address this problem at all. There's a lot of button mashing involved. Pretty much, click the left mouse button repeatedly, watch the enemy's hapless attempts at parrying your attacks, and slowly dwindle his health points. Occasionally, you do get to click both mouse buttons to counteract whenever one of the many enemies standing about, watching you beat the snot out of a teammate, decides to half-heartedly help the poor guy out. And repeat until they're all dead. The third major annoyance is with the platforming. What annoys me is that all I get to control is my character's speed at and direction in which he runs. That's it. I don't control when he jumps, when he grabs onto things, when he performs some kind of special move, nothing. Go left, go right, run, jog, walk, blah blah. There's a YouTube game reviewer who criticized Prince of Persia for basically having you push 8 buttons in a platforming sequence that lasts about 15 to 20 seconds. Push button A, then B, then A, then C, then A plus left directional button, then B, then C, and then A. Boring, he says. I don't quite agree with him that it's necessarily boring, but it's easy to get his points. The point is very much applicable to the Ascrease games as well. You see the main character doing wonderful things, amazing things even, but from my end, all I'm doing is holding down the right mouse button, the space key, and the W key. During this entire sequence. That's it. If Prince of Persia is an ass of a platform game because it requires minimal player input, then Ascrease 2 is double the ass. And I can't go into in-depth detail about all the other annoyances, but I will mention them briefly. QuickTime sequences during dialogue and cutscenes that have no impact on the game whether or not you pull them off. Monetary system that's completely broken for various reasons, but mainly because you get shit ton of money just by doing missions, and there isn't all that much to buy with the money. Way too many moments in which you realize this is just a game scripted to behave a certain way. Like when mandolin players only seek you out to bother you, and way too often. Or a character you're chasing waits for you to catch up. Hiding inside a bale of hay and curtains that would fool absolutely no one in real life. And backtracking in the last chapter of a game to get all 30 codexes before you're able to advance. I could go on, but my point isn't to complain about the game.
But what of Claudia? I thought you'd been promised to her.
My father said I could do much better than in Auditore.
Ah! Birbante! Come, let us walk a bit.
What? I had something else in mind.
Oh, Duccio.
Ehi, lurido porco!
Ezio, my friend.